Today's video is going to be a lot different than most of the videos that you guys have seen on my channel before. I kind of wanted to take a break from obsessing and talking and thinking about the classroom and just kind of do something just for fun. So I've seen a couple people do this type of video before where they post like a question box on their Instagram and then people can write in things that they assume to be true about that person based on everything that they share. So I thought that I would steal that idea today and answer your guys' assumptions about me. Real quick though, I did post this question box in like January or February, and then life happened. I wasn't able to film that video, and then I forgot that I had taken screenshots of those assumptions, and then I reposted it a couple weeks ago. So I have two sets of assumptions that I'm going to be answering from. So if you had put an assumption on there in like January or February and you're seeing it now, that's why, my bad. I want to start too by saying there was a lot of people that put on there just like really nice comments. So if you were one of the people that just used that as an opportunity to say something nice to me, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. All right, so without further ado, let's just jump right into the first one. The first one says, you always stay super late after school. This definitely used to be true my first and kind of like the first half probably of my second year, and I just burnt myself out. My school starts super early. Teachers have to be there at 7:20, but the way our parking lot is set up, if you're not there by 7 o'clock when the parents start showing up, you're gonna be waiting in line for like 15-20 minutes, and then you're gonna be scrambling. So I usually get to school like 6:30, 6:45, and then my kids leave at 1:50. Teachers have to stay until 2:50. And my first year, I swear, I didn't leave before 5 o'clock, except maybe a handful of times, like if I had a doctor's appointment, I had to. And it was not even like me trying to plan crazy cool stuff. It was just me trying to figure out what I was teaching the next day, because your first year, you have no idea what you're doing. Everything is new. And I totally burnt myself out to the point where my second year, I was hating teaching. My second year, I was like, I can't do this, I'm gonna quit. So since my second year, I've really tapered back and tried to figure out, what do I absolutely need to get done for the next day? What can I pass on to parent volunteers? What kind of stuff can I take home that maybe while I'm watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune at night, I can cut things out, or, you know, simple things that I can do that I don't have to be at school physically to do. And then I've also learned how to just let go, that all the cute extra stuff is cool and fun if you have time for it. But if you don't, it's gonna be okay. Your students are still gonna learn. They're not even gonna know that you didn't do something extra for them because they didn't know it was gonna happen in the first place. So that's definitely something that's gotten a lot easier over the years, that I do what I can, I do what I have to do, and if I have extra time and extra energy, then I can stay later, and if I don't want to, then I don't. Okay, the next one says, you always got good grades when you were in school. No, actually. So in elementary school, yes, I was totally like the typical teacher's pet, got all A's or 4s or whatever it was at that time. And then when I started middle school, there was a lot going on in my family and my grades totally started slipping. I stopped really caring about school. My grades didn't get better until high school. And even then it was like the classes I really liked, like English, I put a lot of effort into, and the classes I didn't like, didn't put a lot of effort into. But once I got to college, I turned it around and I got really good grades in college, so. The next one says, you have a great relationship with almost all of your students. Yes, definitely. This is something that's super important to me because I firmly believe that students don't learn from people that they don't like and don't have a connection to. And I can't imagine teaching and not building a relationship with my students. So that's something that's extremely important to me. The next one says, you wanted to be a teacher at a young age. Yes and no. So I can look back and remember when I was a kid, I always used to like line my stuffed animals up and had like a little whiteboard, and I don't even know what I would do on it, but I would pretend that I was in school, or sometimes I'd make my siblings like sit and do school with me and I'd take roll. But then when I was in college, I remember I did not want to be a teacher. And I think that has a lot to do with kind of like the perception of the career. I remember my dad always saying growing up, like, those who can do and those who can't teach, which I absolutely do not agree with, and makes me upset thinking about now. And he has since changed his tune too. But I think I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. And then I also, you know, you always hear people saying teachers don't make any money, and you hear everyone complaining about teachers at some point in your life, that it didn't really sound like a great option. And it wasn't really until I graduated college and I took a gap year and I moved to Thailand, because I wanted to find myself and I wanted to travel. And one way that I knew that I could do that was by teaching English. And so I got signed up with a company. I moved to Thailand by myself. I taught English there, and I honestly just fell in love with it. And I enrolled in a credential program 2 days after I got home. Yeah, so No, it wasn't until I had an experience with teaching that I knew for sure I wanted to be a teacher. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, which looking back now, that is super funny. I definitely don't want that anymore. The next one says, you love flexible seating and for the time being don't plan on going back. Yes, absolutely. I love flexible seating. My students love it, parents love it. It honestly just works for me and my teaching style and my classroom environment. And I don't plan on going back, although I'm a little nervous about this right now with all the COVID-19 stuff going on. I don't know how that's going to affect if I'm allowed to have flexible seating next year. I don't know. We're just gonna have to play it by ear and see what happens. That's kind of one of those things that I'm worried about that's just right now up in the air. And if I'm not allowed to use it next year, I'll be super, super bummed, but I'll figure it out. So I don't know, I'll keep you guys posted on that one. The next one says, you are a perfectionist, which is sometimes an advantage, but sometimes a disadvantage. Yes, 100%. I think it's good in a sense that I'm always pushed to do my best and I always want to go above and beyond in everything that I do, but it also is a total disadvantage because it, I think, has a lot to do with my anxiety because obviously you guys know you can't always be perfect. Things aren't always going to be perfect. And when things aren't perfect, I just have this like mental block about it and it drives me crazy and it makes me feel inadequate or like I'm not doing enough. Like kind of right now how I feel with all this distance learning stuff. I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing everything that I can and I feel like it's not enough and I feel like I'm letting my students down and it's causing me so much stress and anxiety that I don't need to have. So that's something I'm trying to work on right now. Meditation for sure helps with that. The next one says that I'm a rule follower. Yes, 100%. I am an Enneagram 1 and that is like the core of who we are. We want to be good, we want to be right, we want to do things the right way. We want people to think that we are good in general. And so along with that comes following all the rules. So I've never gotten a speeding ticket. I was never sent to the principal's office. I never snuck out. I don't know, I've just never been a rule breaker, which bothers people sometimes, I think, because they want me to let go and let loose a little bit, but I have such a hard time with it because it feels like I'm being bad and doing something wrong, and I hate that feeling. Okay, the next one says, you were in a sorority. I wasn't. I thought about joining one when I first started college, but I started at a community college, so obviously there's not an opportunity for that there, at least the one I went to. And then from there I transferred into a commuter college, so it was about 35 minutes away from where I lived. I was living with my parents at the time, so I would just go to campus for my classes and come home. I didn't join any kind of clubs or sororities or anything, and looking back I kind of regret it. Not necessarily not joining a sorority, but I just feel like I missed out on like the college experience. Like that's good because I never got in trouble, but I feel like I missed out on this like set of experiences that everyone has when they were younger, when they were like wild and crazy. I don't know. Yeah, no, I wasn't in a sorority, but I do envy my friends who were in sororities and still have super close friendships. So if I could go back, I probably would join a sorority. That's funny, a couple of them are right by each other about earrings. One said, your beautiful earring collection is massive, and the other one said, you love earrings. Yes, you guys can see right here is my little collection of earrings. I love bright, fun, colorful earrings. I love tassels. These are one of my favorite pairs from Starfish Project. They're super lightweight. It makes every outfit more fun. Yes, I love earrings. The next one said, you are type 1 on the Enneagram. Yep. And she said, that's what I am, laugh out loud. Yeah, I feel like it's really easy when you are a type 1 to spot another type 1, and maybe that's true for all of the Enneagram types, but yes, definitely a type 1 through and through. The next one says, I assume you passed all of your teaching tests, CBEST, CSETs, RECA, TPAs first try. No, I didn't actually. The CBEST I passed the first time. And if you guys aren't in California, those are like all the teacher tests that you have to take. The CBEST you have to take in order to be a sub, so I took that one long before my credential program. And then the CSETs were actually really tricky. So I can't remember exactly off the top of my head which book I used. I want to say SparkNotes. I made flashcards of every single thing in there, probably close to like 600 flashcards. And over the couple months before I took the test, every single day I would just go through every single card until I feel like I knew them by heart. And the first time I took the CSETs, I passed the English and whatever one was with that one. I don't remember. I think it was like the English and arts or something. It's been a couple years now. I passed that one the first time, and then I didn't pass the other two by like a couple points each. I restudied for them, retook them, and then I passed them the second time. RECA I did pass the first time, and the TPAs I did pass the first time. But those CSETs are so hard. So if you're struggling with those or you didn't pass them the first time, I don't know anyone who passed all of them the first time. So you're totally not alone. They're really hard. You have to know so much about so many things. So it's okay if you don't pass it your first time. You're still gonna be an awesome teacher. It's okay. You'll get through it. You'll be a teacher. You'll be amazing. Don't worry about it. The next one says, your students' parents all love you. Aw. I hope so. I definitely know that there have been a few situations in the past where parents haven't been super excited with me. And I try to remember in those times that it's not personal, hopefully, that these are their babies. These are the most precious beings and the most important thing in the world to them, and they just want what's best for them. And so when there ever is a conflict with a parent or a parent isn't happy with something, I try to come from a place of understanding and instead of a place of being upset or taking it personal, and just remember that they just want what's best for their kid. How can I help? One, communicate to them that I want what's best for their kid too, and then two, how do I help them get what's best for their kid? Because at the end of the day, I love and care about their kid too. I want what's best for them too. So how can we join forces together and make that happen for them? And I feel like parents, even if they start out upset, I feel like they can see that and they can feel that you're genuine and that you care about them and their kid, and that has helped dissipate almost 100% of problems. The next one says, you are very organized. Yes, I think that also comes along with being a type 1 Enneagram. I like everything to have its place. Everything has an order, a structure, a purpose, and if it doesn't, it's out. I'm like the opposite of a hoarder. Like if I don't see an immediate use for something, trash it. The next one says, your ideal grade was 3rd. Yes. So before I even student taught, I had a long-term sub position for, it was like 4, maybe 5 months. A teacher was retiring in the middle of the year, and so I took over for her, and then it just kind of kept getting pushed on, and that was a 3rd grade classroom, and it was the first time I had ever done a long-term sub job, so I really just felt like connected to that grade level. And then I did my student teaching at the same school in the same grade level, 3rd grade, and absolutely loved it. And I feel like I had like the perfect master teacher. She's so knowledgeable. She'd been teaching for a long time, and she had so many cool things that I could implement right away into my own 3rd grade classroom. So I felt like if I got a different grade level than 3rd, that I wouldn't be as prepared. So I was really hopeful, but I also knew you don't get to pick your grade level when you are a brand new teacher, or really at all. You kind of just get what is available. And so when I got called by my current school, which is the only school I've ever taught at, the principal said that it was a kindergarten position, and that was the one grade that I was like, oh, I hope I don't get kindergarten because I wouldn't know what to do, and that terrifies me. And at the last minute, she said, we also have a 3rd grade position open if you'd rather take that. So I did take that, and I've been there ever since, and honestly, I love it so much. I hope I don't ever have to change, because 3rd grade is like, I think it's the best grade. The next one says, you love animals. Not really. Like, I think animals are cute, but I'm just such a clean freak that I don't want them to touch me or any of my stuff. I don't want them to get hair anywhere. I don't like the way they smell. I don't want to clean up poop. I'm just not really like an animal person. The next one says, I assume you can bake amazing desserts. I can't cook anything. I can't cook, I can't bake. I don't enjoy the process. I don't enjoy making a big old mess. I don't enjoy how much time it takes. It never tastes as good as if I just buy it from a store or a restaurant. So not yet. Although I can make like cookies, you know, stuff like that, basic stuff, but not like if you have to mix the ingredients. That's like if I cut it off the tube, which I don't think counts. I don't think that's what this person meant. So yeah, I guess no, I can't bake amazing desserts. The next one says, I assume that you've always had good style. Aw, that makes my heart so happy, because I feel like I don't have good style, and I always judge myself super harshly. I feel like I've always just bought clothes way too big and just kind of like tried to hide my body, and then because of that, I feel like my style's not that cute. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to shift my style a little bit and buy things that are more flattering for my figure. So I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot to me. The next one says, you never teach boring, simple lessons. Totally not true. And maybe I should be better about sharing the stuff on here that's just super simple. I just always think like when I have super simple lessons that no one could benefit from that, because I don't want anyone to think like, oh, I think this is some amazing, crazy good lesson, and then everyone's like, really, that was lame. But the majority of the lessons I teach are just basic, simple lessons, because as elementary teachers, we have so many subjects to teach that it's impossible for every subject to have some really well thought out, over the top, creative, hands-on, uses technology, collaborative, like You can't do that for every lesson. And that's how I feel like people get burnt out, myself included. I was starting to feel like that last year. And honestly, having the pressure of having social media and having a lot of followers, I felt like I had to always post these over the top lessons, and I realized that I was burning myself out and it wasn't fun anymore for me. So I've really toned that down. When I can add in those little things, I do, or I try to find things that can be used for a bunch of different things, like Flipgrid. I love Flipgrid, and you can make Flipgrid work for any different content, any grade level, any subject, anything. And so I try to find things that I like, that my kids like, that I can easily apply to other things instead of spending a lot of time creating one specific lesson that I can only use once a year. And that would be my tip for any new teachers. Instead of trying to focus on like, how can I make this one thing really amazing, focus on strategies that you can apply to anything that you can easily just add in when you already have the content down. I hope that makes sense. Someone said you love pickles. Yes, I'm obsessed with all things pickles except sweet pickles. I can't do sweet pickles. There's a Bahama Bucks right by my house, and they have something called the Piccadilly, and it's basically a snow cone that they put pickle juice snow cone on, which tastes just like pickle juice straight from a jar. It's really sour, and then they cut up pickle chunks and put it in sour sand. It's one of my favorite things. It is so good. My mouth is watering right now thinking about it because I love it so much. Yes, I love pickles. The next one says you don't want kids. I do want kids, actually. I think I want 3 or 4 or 5. I guess it depends on when I start having kids because I'm 28 now. So I guess it just depends. We'll see. But I definitely want at least 3. I have 3 kids in my family, and I feel like it was like a good mix. Although I always said I want 4 so that someone always has a friend, but we'll see. I don't know. I do want kids though. I know that I want kids for sure. This one, you always knock your observations out of the park. No, definitely not. I have mentioned a couple times on here that I have anxiety. That affects my observations big time. Honestly, I'm thinking back to the last observation I had. I feel like I blacked out in my observation because I don't even remember what I said half the time. It's one of those things where I get so nervous and I overthink everything and I stumble over my words, or I say things that I wouldn't necessarily have said. Also with observations, I feel like, I did talk about this a little bit in one of the last videos I posted about doing my observation this year, but I always felt like I tried to do something like really over the top and creative. And if you're doing something that's different for the kids, their behavior is going to slide. It's going to be fun, it's going to be new, it's going to be exciting, and they're going to have that like built up energy. And I find that that makes observations not go as well. So if you have an observation coming up, I would totally suggest doing something that your kids have already done. Not like teach the lesson and then teach the same lesson, but don't veer too far off from like the normal thing that you guys normally do, because one, your feedback is not going to be really that relevant because that's not something you typically would do, so it's not going to help you for next time if it isn't a next time, if you know what I mean. And then also, it's going to run a lot smoother if it's just something typical. The next one says, you don't want to show off to other teachers, you do it all for the kids. Yes, definitely. This is something that I struggle with a little bit. I think particularly with social media, because I want my kids to have cool experiences and I want to share those with other teachers because I want them to be able to create those cool experiences too. And I know that I get so many ideas from other teachers who share, but then it turns into a competition, and I never want anyone to feel like that, whether it's on social media or someone that I teach with. Like, I don't ever want anyone to feel like we're in competition with each other, because we're not. At the end of the day, if someone shares something cool, I can either choose to look at that and be jealous that I didn't do that for my kids, or that I didn't think of it first, or that I don't have the energy or whatever, and I can turn it into something negative. Or I can say, wow, that's a really cool idea. I'm glad they shared that. Now I can try it with my students too. Or that's a really cool idea. I don't have the energy right now, or the time, or the resources, or the desire to do that with my students, but I'm really proud of them and happy for them because they created an awesome experience for their student. At the end of the day, we're here for our kids. We're here to create awesome experiences and memories for them and help them learn. And any way that another teacher can do that, I'm excited for them, I'm proud of them. And yeah, it's never about showing off for me. It's always about saying, hey, look, this is something cool that you can do with your kids. Here's how I did it. So I appreciate people that understand that. Someone else said, you've got some fun hobbies. Going to concerts, definitely, that's like my #1 favorite thing. I love going to comedy shows. I really like going to the movies. I love the beach. I love to swim. I really like reading and writing. I like making videos. honestly, I'm trying to think what else. I like coloring. I know that's kind of like a little kid thing to do, but I have like adult coloring books and colored pencils. And I think it's just relaxing to put on some music or a show and just color. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have like a lot of hobbies really. So if you guys have any cool hobbies that you love, definitely send them my way and suggest them in the comments. Oh, one thing that I'm really excited about when quarantine is over, I'm gonna start taking piano lessons. It's something that I've always wanted to do and I've always been too scared to do it, but I'm just gonna go for it. Oh, this one. You're great at budgeting. No, I wish I was better at budgeting. Honestly, I'm cheap, so I don't spend a lot of money. The biggest expense that I have is food because I don't like to cook, so I eat out a lot. But I'm not great at budgeting. Aw, Sarah said, you brush your teeth 12 times a day. She always tells me that I have her favorite teeth, which is the nicest compliment because when I was younger, I remember when I got my braces off, I thought my teeth were so big that I didn't smile for like 2 weeks. And everyone wanted to see my teeth without braces and I just refused to smile. And anytime anyone asked me to smile, I would start crying because I was so embarrassed and I was like, ugh, I have to live with these teeth forever. So getting compliments about my teeth is really nice. Thanks, Sarah. The next one, you curse at home. I never, ever cuss in YouTube videos or on Instagram captions or on Instagram stories or anything. And I have to really watch that because I don't cuss like at people. Like it's not like in an angry way. I just use them as adjectives. Yeah, that might be surprising to you guys because you have never heard me cuss. Okay, this one says, you never get upset or frustrated with your students. Totally not true. I do try to be really understanding about behavior issues because I know that at the root of a behavior problem is them trying to communicate to me that they have a problem that's too big that they can't handle it on their own. I definitely have times where my students frustrate me. I definitely have times where I get upset, but I try to be really mindful about how I react to a student upsetting me and how I deal with that, knowing that I want to continue having a positive relationship with the student, and I also want to help them with whatever problem they're struggling with that caused them to act out in the first place. You care deeply about your students and relationships are key to your classroom. Yes, 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 absolutely, 100%. Could not agree more with that. This one says you like to write. Yes, I love to write. In fact, I always thought that I was going to be a writer, and I still do hope to write books someday. In fact, I would love to write a children's book or a children's series. I also would love to eventually write my memoir, but I feel like I'm too young and that I would appreciate it more having a different perspective. I want to be able to look back more, so I'm going to wait to write that. And then I also majored in English in undergrad and my emphasis was on creative writing. You have a really good work-life balance. I'm definitely working on it. So I told you guys at the beginning of teaching, had the most terrible work-life balance and I was on the road to burnout quick, but I feel like I've definitely gotten better at that. You are laid back as a teacher. Yes and no. So I'm definitely strict in my classroom management and my rules, and I feel like that allows me a lot more freedom to be like a creative, laid back, fun teacher, but I definitely can reel it in when I need to. I remember one time my dad brought pizza to my classroom for Valentine's Day. I think it was my third year, last year. And the kids were all talking whatever, and I did a call and response and it was immediately silent. And I remember my dad telling me afterwards, like, wow, it was so loud and all of a sudden you said one thing and it was just dead silent. And I don't say that in a way of like, oh yeah, like I have so much control over them, but I do like that I have that rapport with my students, that they respect me. And I know that they think I'm fun. I know they have a good time at school. I know they like being there, but they also respect the rules that I've set in place. And I think that comes from starting out strict. So in the beginning of the year, like the first week, we focus heavily on our classroom rules and how things are going to function in our classroom, and then I slowly start to release that control a little bit, and then it gets more fun. But in the beginning I feel like it's important to not be mean, but just be firm about your expectations, because what you allow in the beginning is what will be the expectation. So if you start out down here, it's a whole lot harder to get more strict than if you just start out strict. It'd still be nice and fun and smiley, but it's a lot easier to taper that back than to try to ramp it up. This one says you're willing to put like half of your paycheck back into your kids/classroom if needed. Definitely my first year, I felt like I had to do that, and that was part of being a good teacher, is being willing to spend money. And honestly, now I'm not. I realize that I work way too hard, I work way too long, and I already don't get paid enough as is. It's not my responsibility to fund things in my classroom. And there are so many people who are willing to donate on things like Donors Choose that it's really not necessary for me to spend my already small paycheck back into my job. Honestly, that's something that I think about a lot, that sometimes upsets me, because what other profession do we expect people to take their paycheck, which we already don't pay them an adequate amount anyways for the work that they do, and then expect them to turn around and spend that money back on their career? I can't think of one other career where that's an expectation except for teaching. And it wasn't really until probably this last year that I just decided, like, I'm not doing that anymore. I want to take my money and spend it on myself. I want to go have experiences and travel and go to concerts, and I can't do that if I'm spending a large chunk of my paycheck on buying student supplies, gifts for my students, treats and rewards, books, just all the things that come along with needing to be a teacher. Those things can be funded by Donors Choose projects. I can ask parents for help. I can create Amazon wish lists. I can try to use my budget for school or write grants, but I really shouldn't just be spending my money. And I also don't want to be promoting that. I know I've done that in the past where I've promoted like buying things, and not even in a sense of like, oh, you should do this or this makes you a good teacher, but I was just excited to share something that I was doing for my class. And I never want that to be the expectation that I'm putting on other teachers, especially young and new teachers, feeling like they have to do that to keep up with being a good teacher. So don't ever feel like you have to spend money on your classroom. And in fact, I would highly encourage you not to. If you're still watching this, I appreciate you being here and caring about people's assumptions about me. And I know that you guys on YouTube maybe didn't necessarily get a chance to put in your assumptions, so definitely make sure that you head over to Instagram and follow me at Hello Third Grade. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted an assumption so that I could make this video. That was so much fun for me to do. And if you guys have any other ideas of videos that you guys want to see that maybe are more like lifestyle or just like fun type videos that have nothing to do with teaching, definitely let me know. I still will be posting teaching videos, but just I kind of want something else to focus on right now. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys soon for another video. Bye!